People don't struggle to manage their time because they're lazy. Most of the time, it's actually the opposite. They are perfectionists and they're trying to prioritize other people's times and their needs, and they're distracted.
Ever blink and suddenly it's 5 p.m. and you're wondering how you spent an entire day doing everything except what actually mattered? We talk about time like it's a scheduling issue, but really it's an emotional one. How you manage your minutes determines your energy, your stress, and your sense of control. In this episode, we're breaking down time management, not as a productivity hack, but as a mental health habit, because how you spend your time is how you spend your life.
Well, we've all had those days where we look at the clock and suddenly it's 5 p.m. and we're wondering what we did today besides answering a few emails, maybe putting out a couple fires.
Mm-hmm. Seems like it happens a little bit more often than I think most of us like to admit.
Mm-hmm. That is why today we are talking about time management, and not in like a hustle culture, do more kind of way, but in a how can we get our time back and prioritize a better way.
Yeah, your time is something that is just so important. It can't really be replicated. You're only allotted so much of it. Mm-hmm. And I would say probably out of all the habits that we've discussed, time management is probably one of the most important and the most impactful if you get it right.
I agree, because it not only impacts your peace, but your clarity, your relationships, and your overall mental health.
Yeah. So I'm excited to dive into this topic today. We're going to be talking a little bit about time management, what goes into it, how to maximize it, some real key takeaways, and it's going to be a good conversation.
Yeah. And to be clear, people don't struggle to manage their time because they're lazy. Most of the time, it's actually the opposite. They are perfectionists and they're trying to prioritize other people's times and their needs, and they're distracted. Like, we are all distracted all the time.
Yeah. So let's just start off here. Like, why do you think people struggle with time management? What are some of the reasons that people struggle?
I think one of the biggest reasons people struggle with time management is emotional avoidance. They are avoiding the things that need to be done because they don't want to do it for one reason or another. There's some emotional reason there that they are avoiding what they need to do. And it's not because it is because we don't want to do it, but it's not because we don't want the task done. It's maybe we're anxious about it, or we are doubtful that we're going to be able to do that task. Like, for example, if there's something really big that has to be done at work and you know that it is your responsibility to do it, but you're going to do all of the other unimportant tasks beforehand, it's not because you're not capable of doing it. And it's definitely not because you're lazy. It might be because you're fearing, hey, if I do this and I don't do it the right way, or it doesn't come out the perfect way, then I'm going to look bad and I don't want to be in that position. And that could make you avoid doing that task that you have to do.
Right. Kicking the can down the road.
Right.
Some procrastination.
Yes.
I think that's probably what I do the most of, is procrastinate.
Yes. And it's using other coping mechanisms like, I'll just check my email first, or I'll just do this other thing that is not super meaningful, or I'll scroll on social media, and before you know it, it just takes up so much of your time away.
Yeah, well, I think you get that like hit of doing something, and there's a little bit of a reward that goes into that of like, okay, well, I did something, right? It wasn't what I was supposed to do, but it's something.
Yeah. Or you have the opposite where you're guilty because you think, well, that wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. And now I still have this task to do because guess what? It doesn't get any better the longer you avoid it.
Right. In a way, it probably will just feel better to not procrastinate and get the task done, because procrastinating leads to more anxiety.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think a second reason that people really struggle with time management is that they have poor boundaries. Because if you don't decide what matters most and you don't prioritize your time, somebody else will. And it's not that the other person is doing it necessarily on purpose. It's just if they're saying, hey, this is important to me, can you help me, or can you do this? And you say yes to that. Well, yeah, then you're prioritizing someone else over yourself.
So another thing that I think people struggle with is just chronic distraction, right? Like, I think that might be the biggest culprit, is that all of a sudden, you sit down on the couch and you just time warp. Boom, 25 minutes goes past, you're scrolling.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's horrible. It's really bad. And I think the entire society is just addicted to that dopamine hit of social
Yeah.
media scrolling. So I think that's a time thief, really.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I saw something recently. It was like, before you scroll, respond to all of your text messages. And I was like, oh, that hit me so hard because you have unanswered texts. And I think what stresses me out about texting sometimes is I feel like, okay, I'll respond, but then they're going to respond. So even if I get that out of the way, I still, if there's going to be ongoing conversations, but also socializing and responding to people probably is a little bit better than scrolling. So at least getting that done first is not a bad thing.
I would say it depends who you're
It
talking
depends
to, maybe.
who. Yeah, if they're stressing you out or not. Because that's the thing. It's not that I don't want to be talking to the people who are reaching out to me. It's just sometimes I feel like my brain is so fried that all I want to do is scroll. And it's interesting. I've been trying to change my mindset a little bit around the scrolling because I feel like I kind of always demonized it. Like, it's so bad to be on social media. You shouldn't be scrolling. But then I've noticed that, we're exhausted parents. We have a business. Like, our brains are constantly going. And I have noticed that there are times where, like, we kind of just sit and we scroll together, sometimes for a half hour, maybe an hour, depending on what's going on. But it's almost like it has replaced, in a lot of ways, us sitting and watching TV. And it feels more of like a together activity because we're scrolling through, like, reels on Instagram, for example. And like, we're cracking up at them. And I'm like, wow, like, I needed that release. Like, I needed to laugh. I needed to, like, do this together with you.
Right.
So I'm trying not to always demonize it. Like, oh, that is not a bad thing. If that helps us, like, wind down at the end of the night, there's nothing wrong with that. But if I'm just mindlessly scrolling in the middle of the day or when I'm supposed to be doing other things, I think that's when it's a really negative distraction. That's kind of how I justify it in my head.
Yeah. PSA, right? If you're going to scroll, don't scroll alone. Do it together.
Don't scroll alone. Do it together. And also, what are you scrolling and watching? I have spent a lot of time curating a very silly algorithm, and I think it matters because I've been in places where suddenly my algorithm is like very political or like really serious, and I'm like, oh, this is not my relaxing time. What happened?
And then you have to seek out the funny videos to reset the
yes,
algorithm
I'm like,
intentionally,
no,
right?
I want to see like just really silly, ridiculous things because that's where I'm at right now. So it's not always bad, but it can be a huge time sucker.
Yeah. Well, going back to what you said is like answer your texts before you scroll. Like and that can be replaced with anything really. Like if texting is something that you feel like isn't gonna like knock off a task because it's an ongoing conversation, just like replace it with something else and use it as a reward system.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that when people say I don't have enough time to do something, it really means I don't have enough mental space to do it because we all have the same 24 hours in a day. And if you schedule your time accordingly, you should have time to do the things that you want to do because you can very logically lay out, this is what my day is going to look like. Now, of course, we have days where, wild things happen and you can't always predict if an emergency happens and that all of a sudden your whole day is shift. But for the most part, on a day to day, we can know how much time we're going to have. So I don't know that it's really a lack of time as much as it's just the overcommitting and the mental burnout that people experience.
Yeah. Like you'll find time, right? If it's important. I got hit with this the other day. I was like either watching something or talking to someone and they were talking about like working out, and you know how everybody's excuse for not working out is like, oh, I don't have the time. I don't have the time. It's like, look at your screen time, right? Using that excuse, I don't have time. If you look at your screen time, you'll realize there's plenty of time.
How much time you have. Yeah. Scroll at the gym.
Scroll at the gym, right? Scroll on the treadmill. I love that.
Yeah. So I think that, when we're talking about time management, we're not necessarily talking about how can we get more things done. We're talking about how can we get the right things done and how can we get them done calmly. We don't want to be running through our lives completely frantic 24/7 at the cost of, oh, but I checked all this stuff off my list, because that's not really a positive way to live. So time management is really, it's like what I said before, it's an energy management.
Yeah.
How much energy do I have for the day?
Yeah.
And what do I need to get done within that time that is reasonable?
One of the things that I think that people don't talk about enough when it comes to time management is personality type, because everybody has a different personality type.
Yeah.
And if you're listening and you've never checked your personality type, head over to Myers-Briggs. Google it, and you'll be able to take a test, and you'll be able to tell your personality type. But everybody responds differently to different prompts, to different scenarios, and that's really important to consider when you're talking about how to manage your time effectively.
Yeah, I think that's actually so helpful because there's so many one size fits all techniques that are out there when it comes to time management and getting tasks done. And I don't think it works the same for everybody. People have different personalities and they're in different seasons of life. And that's okay. I've actually seen there's someone made a TikTok a while ago and it was, a fitness influencer. And she was like, she didn't have kids. And she's like, everyone has the same 24 hours in a day. And all, the stitches are always like, parents with their kids being like, no, we don't. We don't have the same 24 hours a day. And like, yes, of course, you do have the same 24 hours. But your time is allotted very differently. So before, you might have been able to say, okay, out of 24 hours in a day, aside from sleeping, the other 14 hours that I'm up, 16 hours that I'm up, can be for things that I need to do. Where now as a parent, maybe the time that you can spend doing things just for yourself is 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day if you're lucky. So yes, it's the same time, but you are not in the same season of life. So to expect that, I can do an hour and a half workout every day and go for an hour run or whatever that's going to look like. It's not that you can't do that, but as a parent, you're going to have to be really intentional about getting that done.
You got to try really hard.
It's not going to be as easy as someone who has more flexibility in their schedule. And I think that it's not that either one is right or wrong. It's just that you have to adjust accordingly for the season of life that you're in.
I know. Sometimes I look back like before we had kids.
Yeah.
And I just think to myself, man, we had like so much time.
What were we doing?
If I could go back, I would be like, I would just yell at myself, get off the couch.
It'd be
do
so
something productive.
Right? I know. I think about that sometimes too. Like, okay, let's say we're getting ready to go somewhere and we don't have to leave for 20 minutes, but we're ready. What did I do? Did I just sit on the couch? Did we talk?
I don't remember.
Did I scroll? Because now I can't imagine sitting around the house having 20 minutes with nothing to do before leaving the house.
I know. If we get like an hour of right now without kid time, like I feel like we have just learned to fit everything we could possibly do. So productive.
Yes.
I think that's universal among a lot of parents is like you by force, you have to just learn how to get things done in a short amount of time.
100%. So I think to kind of show what it's like to get to know your personality and what kind of things are better for you when it comes to time management, we're going to ask a couple questions. We'll ask them to each other, but when you're listening, you can also kind of answer these for yourself. So Brandon, when are you most focused? In the morning or the afternoon?
I would say as of lately, and this has changed throughout my life, I think, maybe I used to be more of a morning person, but now I think it's kind of geared towards the afternoon. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
I would agree with that. I think that, I was reflecting, we used to get up first thing in the morning, like, having a therapist schedule. I was always working later in the day. So my day wouldn't start until, let's say, 10 o'clock. So we would always get up. We'd go to the gym in the morning. We'd have like a really nice breakfast. We'd get some work done. And then we would head over to the office. And that was always a really nice schedule. And I felt like we were able to do things for ourselves before work started. Now the mornings are a little different because we have kids. And as soon as we wake up, it's kind of go, go, go. There's a lot to do. They need to be fed. There's just, a million and one tasks. So when we have downtime in the afternoon, either when the kids are napping or when we have the babysitter, that's when we're able to work. So I think that we have just learned that, okay, maybe doing something first thing in the morning is just not very practical. I have to now put it on a to-do list and I have to do it later. I have to do it when we have the mental space or some quietness to do certain things. So I would agree. I think it's become the afternoon. I was also thinking how we used to be night owls too. Like if inspiration hit, we would be doing something at 9 o'clock at night and we would just work until we were done because that's when we felt inspired. And I think now we're a little more tired at night. So it was a little bit of an adjustment in the beginning, but now I feel like we're good with working in the middle of the day, which is probably what most people do anyway. So we're kind of back in a normal schedule.
Yeah. And, I think like wherever you're at in life, like just embracing where you're at is really important and just accepting it like that. It's okay for your schedule and your body to change. And, being adaptable is really important. Yeah. What about like your energy? Like, what are some things that happen throughout the day in your day-to-day that drain you?
I would say that the things that drain me are, I would say when I'm overscheduled, if I know that I have more things to do than time allows, or just enough time will allow for it. So it gets me in the mode of like, if anything goes wrong today, or if anything takes longer than I planned, we're going to be late to something, or that's going to cause a lot of stress. So I think that will make me feel really exhausted. I think another energy leak, and something that we've learned as far as, our schedule with working, is that if the kids are really like, they're going through something, like, as we know, babies and toddlers, they go through sleep regressions, they go through growth spurts, and during that time they tend to be a little fussier, they tend to need more of your one-on-one attention. And I've noticed that if I'm trying to do any big projects or anything that takes a lot of mental energy during that time period, it just doesn't work as well. And I've had to really slow down during those times and just be a present parent with them when they need me, and then know that it does always get better and they do always calm down. So I would say those are the two big things. I would say on a smaller scale, just like day to day, I would say, if I'm on my phone too much, of course, like anyone else, I would say, yeah, I mean, that would kind of be the biggest one, is just if I'm not like focused on what I need to be focused on.
Yeah.
How about you?
I would say for me, if I fall off of like gym routine, or like, if there's especially around the holidays, this is relevant, like a few days of just like eating poorly,
Yeah.
that really catches up to me. Like, I notice that my mood is a lot worse, and, I'm maybe move a little slower, or I'm a little less sharp than, normally I would be. So that's a big one. I would say another one would probably be, I'm a little bit more introverted by nature. So like too many social gatherings or interactions in a row, I think can be really draining. So I would say that those are probably the two biggest for me.
Yeah. And I think knowing that is really good. So okay, when the holidays come, I'm going to really have to push myself after to get back on some sort of schedule. Or if, that also coincides with having a lot of social plans, I know I'm going to need more time to rest after that. And I think it's important that you've learned that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that impacts the way I schedule things.
Yeah.
You know?
So I would want to ask, how does overcommitting affect your emotional regulation?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm overcommitted, I just feel tired,
Yeah.
I think I'm the type of person that, I used to have a tendency to overcommit. I think we both did.
Yeah.
And I think as I've learned that, saying no has gotten a little bit more easier. We've practiced that a little bit more, but I think the drain hits after the activities. There's a little bit of anticipatory anxiety that comes up beforehand. And then afterwards, you're just kind of shot.
Yeah.
So that's why, I try not to overcommit,
Yeah.
to more than we can handle. And if we're getting to the point where maybe we've done that, and you obviously want to try to avoid it, but, kind of curating that calendar can be helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that you get more exhausted after. I think that I experience anticipatory anxiety a little bit more beforehand, because I am just sitting there thinking about all the things that need to be done, and who's going to nap and who's going to not nap, and how long is it going to take to get there, and what are we all going to wear. And I think that I get more stressed beforehand, and then after I feel like, yes, I might be physically tired, but I also feel that sense of relief of, okay, that's done. And I think going back to just appreciating the season of life that you're in, pre-kids, a packed calendar looks very different than it does now. Now I'm like, I don't want more than one big plan per weekend. Now, of course, in December, the holidays, schedules look a lot different, right? Packed back to back every weekend. But I think for the most part, we try to really slow down and not have too many things going on, because we know that the kids need rest. It's a lot more work doing these types of things. And like, we want more time at home. So I think that also took a little bit of adjusting of, you know what, we can't be running a million miles an hour, and that it's okay because we don't want to.
Yeah. And life really truly is a marathon, not a sprint. And I think one of the things that actually you've kind of taught me is that we don't need to be going at 100 miles an hour. Like, all day, every day,
Yeah.
you know, whenever. And like when we are in slower seasons, to really like try to embrace those slower seasons. And then when we're in the fast seasons, knowing that, hey, right now is a sprint, but you know, it's not going to be forever.
Yeah.
It's been a helpful reframe.
And that's so hard sometimes when you are so used to wanting to feel productive all the time. Like that's something I struggle with, is like feeling very productive. And sometimes when you're home with kids, it doesn't always feel productive because I'm not checking something off of a list. I'm just taking care of my children. But in the scheme of things, there's nothing really more important you can be doing. And we're not getting this time back with them.
Right.
And I feel so lucky that we've been able to spend the time we have been able to with our kids and really devote that to them, and that we're still able to do that. And just knowing how important that is, I'm saying it to myself now, but there are times in the moment where I'm like, oh man, like I have so much work I could be doing, or I have emails I need to be answering, but you know, they need me right now, and this is what I'm going to be doing, and this is what I want to be doing. So yeah, it's a work in progress. It's hard though. It is. And you know, I think that kind of going back to the boundaries is, you know, learning what is a priority to you. So for me, a priority is having one-on-one time with my kids and really being able to embrace as much as of I can of their babyhood and their toddlerhood. And I notice that when I overcommit or I say yes to things I don't want to say yes to, I feel like I'm pulling that time away from them because you only have so much time in a week. And then, you know, we work on the days that we're working, we have the sitter there. And then you take what's left of that week and it's like, okay, do I really want to spend a whole day of that doing that particular thing? And it's not personal to the people who are asking. It's not like, no, I don't want to spend time with that person. But I always frame it in a way of like, would I rather be doing that than being home with my kids? And for me, sometimes I almost go to the extreme where you're like, you need to get out of the house. You need to make plans, like go see your friends. But I think it's like overall, I'm just going to be really, really careful about what I say yes to. But it wasn't always like that. We used to be in the place where we said yes to every little thing, even when our first was younger, feeling like we were just so overcommitted. And I feel like it just leads to stress, guilt, and emotional overload.
Yeah. And I mean, I also too, like stage of life, like I feel like when you're young, like you need to be saying yes to a little bit more. Like there's opportunities that need to be seized. Like it's okay to run a little faster or do more. And then you get older and I think you start realizing like the importance of, you know, time and prioritizing things that are going to, you know, bring you that value and that energy. When you say yes to something, you're always saying no to something else. So we got to be careful what we say yes to.
Yeah. And I think it's important to recognize too, how am I going to feel after I have those particular plans? Like, am I going to feel energized, like I'm ready to take on the world, or am I going to feel exhausted and need more time after that? And it's not that you then have to say no to everything. Like if your family is very draining sometimes, it's not that you have to say no and never see your family, but maybe just know the next day you probably shouldn't make overwhelming plans. Maybe the next day you need to chill a little bit, and that's okay. It's good to know that.
Yeah. And I mean, if you find yourself in a situation where you're constantly doing things that leave you feeling less energized and unhappy and unfulfilled, like maybe it's time to just like curate that a little bit more. Cut those things out, you know, if that's something that you can do. Yeah.
I think, you know, planning your time around your values is so much better than only planning it around tasks. So it's like, okay, like if someone, like we just said, wants you to do something, but no, my value is that like I worked all week and I haven't had quality time with my husband. I'm sorry, this weekend I'm spending quality time with my husband. I don't want to do anything else. That is okay. But you have to be very intentional about saying that that is your value and actually acting on it. Because if you don't, before you know it, someone is going to swoop in and they're going to take that time. And then you're going to be there on Sunday night being like, I didn't even get to spend time with you this weekend. That was terrible. And then you're going to go into Monday feeling overwhelmed, emotional. And I don't think that's good for anybody.
Why do you think it's so hard for people to protect their time?
I think people don't value it enough. I think that they don't realize how precious it is. And I think there is almost this feeling of like we have unlimited time. We can do whatever we want in a day when it's just not the reality. And I think it goes back to people pleasing too. I think everything goes back to people pleasing. Like people don't want to say no to other people, even if they know in their hearts they don't want to do that thing. It's just so much easier to say yes to people sometimes.
Saying yes is easier than saying no.
In the short term.
In the short term.
The short term. What we have started doing is that we will kind of take it offline. So I used to have a habit, if anyone invited me to anything or they wanted me to do something for them, I immediately was always like, yes, sounds good, of course. And then an hour later, I'm like, why did I commit to that? I don't have time for that. What I've been saying, unless it's something that like I definitely want to do or 100% have the time for it, if it's a social obligation or even something work related, like I will say, you know what? I will get back to you on that. Like obviously there's some obligations you have to say yes to, right? Like if your boss is like, hey, I need you to do this report, obviously you need to do it. But there's certain things that I've learned. Let me just take a second to think about that and I will get back to you. And then you and I can talk about it. And then we can think, okay, is this really like what I need to be doing? And it gives you a second to think, if I am going to say no, how am I going to phrase it? I've been trying recently. I've just been so honest with people about why I'm saying no to things. So I feel like, not that I would lie, that sounds so terrible, but in the past, I feel like I would have to, if I was saying no to someone, I would have to have a good reason. So I'd have to be like, it got to the point where I would literally like, if someone invited me somewhere on Saturday and I didn't want to go, I would find a way to fill my calendar on Saturday so I can go back and say, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I have whatever on the calendar, which is ridiculous. So what I've been doing recently is I've just been honest. Like if let's say, you know, I have my church group that I go to every other week. And if they reach out and say, hey, you know, we're doing this event, do you want to come to dinner or something? I will literally be like, honestly, I've had a really long week and I'm really tired. I'm just going to like hang home with Brandon on that night.
Is that ever met with like anger or, you know?
I have never had it met with anger. I think that I have spent the last couple of years, though, really trying to curate positive relationships around me. I understand that that doesn't work for everybody. We have definitely been in the position with certain family members in the past where we have been honest about things that we have felt regarding like our time and where we're spending it and stuff, and it has not always been met super positively. But I would say as of recently, I have not had any negative ramifications of it. I think I also know emotionally who I can be more vulnerable with and who maybe I can't be. So I think that makes a difference. But, you know, I feel like especially friends who are in similar phases of life as us, they just get it. They get it because they feel the same way. And they're like, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that either.
And like, to be honest, like if somebody doesn't respond positively or just accepting of like, hey, I'm feeling really burnt out, like it's going to be too much for me. Like what kind of person is that?
Right.
You know,
that's on them.
That's on them. Yeah. They don't understand that, you know?
And that could just be a reflection of them having poor boundaries too and them feeling really overwhelmed. It's funny. The other day we were having one of my groups with my church girls and this topic came up because they were making plans for something and two different people were like, I am just so overwhelmed. I need more time in my schedule. I am just like praying so that I can just learn to clear things off my schedule. So it's so funny. I feel like we're all just like in a similar phase of life where we can almost like call each other out in a way and be like, is that really what you need to be doing? Because you did say you wanted to chill a little bit and you're kind of overcommitting there. And having people call you out is not a bad thing.
Yeah. Everybody should be developing a culture of that
yes.
in their friend circles, right?
So I think that is an example of a very positive environment where I feel like I can truly be myself and share those things. And they also know that I'm a little more introverted. I feel like I used to be more extroverted, and then post kids, I became a little more introverted. And I feel like they just appreciate that about me. They know that I'm not someone who's going to go out 2 days in a row and hang out with them, where maybe other people in the group are, and that's who they would go and spend more time with. But I think they kind of just understand that that's not my personality. And I think that's where, you know, you were saying taking the personality test. It's not that it's a crutch for all your decisions, but I think it's just a good way to like express yourself. And if you can understand yourself better, it will help other people understand you too. And it just leads to better communication overall.
Yeah, 100%. Totally agree. I want to talk like a little bit more like tactical, because time management can be very tactical. So let's get into some like strategies that people can use.
So my favorite strategy that I love using is the top 3 rule. So when you start your day, or even bonus points, do it the night before, pick out 3 really important things that you definitely want to get done the next day. And do them first. Make it, I'm going to do these 3 tasks, and then the rest of the day, anything else is a bonus. But you feel really accomplished because you got those 3 things done.
Yeah, and this totally compounds too. Because, it happens with us sometimes, like the day just goes by and you just feel like you get swept up in it.
Yeah.
And just being really intentional about getting 3 important things done. After a week, that's 21 really important things that you've done, right? And then so all of a sudden it's like a month, that's 80.
That's
it's
huge.
Like, it's just, that's huge.
Yeah.
You become a productivity like powerhouse.
Yeah. And doing it for yourself, I think, is so major because it's what we were talking about before. Everyone's priorities are different. So maybe your priority might be different than my priority, is going to be different than someone else's. So everyone having their own 3 things every day is so important. And you're not allowing other people to say, this is a priority for you, I need you to do this. You're saying, this is what's most important for me. And this is what I need to do.
One of the things I love about this strategy or tactic is like, it actually is like guilt relieving.
Yeah.
Because, sometimes it can be overwhelming with time management of all the things that need to be done on the to-do list. And
definitely,
like, you can do more than 3 things in a day, but having the 3 guaranteed things that you get done, it's almost like, okay, I got the 3 most important things done that I needed to get done. Like, whatever else happens, but like, at least I know that this was completed.
Yeah. This is actually something that I tend to have a hard time with because I'm the type of person, if I make a to-do list, like, I need to check everything off by the end of the day. And if I don't, I'm so upset about it and I'm angry about it. And I sometimes have a hard time prioritizing my tasks because in my head, they are all equally important because they will all get done. So I'm going to do them in the order that I wrote them down, and they're not written in any particular order. It's just whatever came to my mind first and I wrote it down. And sometimes you've even been like, okay, do we really need to be doing that right now? Like, we have these other things to do. Why are you doing, I don't know, you're cleaning out a closet. Is that really what you need to be doing right this second? And I'm like, well, because I planned that for today. So yes, it needs to be done today. But then before you know it, it's 7:00 at night. And I'm like, oh, I still have 3 things left on my list. And maybe one of them was a little bit more important than cleaning a closet out. So it's hard to prioritize when in your head, everything is high priority and everything needs to be done no matter what. So I think, I could definitely do better because I love this tactic. And anytime I've used it, it's been really successful. So I need to do better at actually picking out what is a priority and not just prioritizing everything under the sun.
Right. Well, I mean, it's hard to do. Like, prioritization is hard because it's like there's so much to do. How do we figure out what goes in the number 1, number 2, and number 3 spot?
Yeah, I think it goes back to like what is most important to you. And what is important to you today doesn't have to be what's important to you tomorrow. Like, maybe, like we said, maybe if it's a Saturday, your number 1 priority is spending time with your husband. Nothing else matters that day. Make that a priority. Make that be, okay, we are getting breakfast, we are spending quality time together, and even if I only have 2 hours with you, I'm doing it first thing in the morning. I know it's happening. I know you're being prioritized, which also bonus points for your relationship.
Yeah.
But that might not be the same thing that's as important on a Wednesday when you're working and you have work tasks that need to get done. So maybe on that day, that report we talked about that you don't feel like doing, that is going to be task number 1 because you've now been putting it off and it needs to be done.
When we're talking about like personal prioritization, I think like the way that I would characterize what's most important is like greatest life impact. So it's like if the oil needs to be changed in the car, right? My car's not going to break down if I don't change the oil tomorrow. Like, it's a good thing to maintain, but like that would be much less important than say like paying the mortgage or something like that, like, which is like the consequences are going to be greater.
Yep.
Or you could look at it like levels of stress that you are under, for a topic. So I think that's how I would probably rank them.
Yeah. And I think I like to think about what is taking up the most mental energy, because sometimes the things that you cross off your list that make you feel better are actually not these huge, major, important things. Sometimes it's these little things that you just want to cross off your list because they're driving you nuts. And it might not be the most important thing, but if you clear your mental space, your day is going to look a lot better. You're going to feel a lot more at peace. So who am I to say that that's not most important to you? Like, this week, for some reason, I was so stressed about going to the library. Like, I had an overdue book, which I know I owed them 50 cents, but it just eats me alive that I had an overdue book.
Wait. This week, you were so stressed out because you wanted to finish a book that you
Yes.
really liked.
Yes.
And you were like,
They wouldn't let me renew it because I guess it's new or something.
You know, and like, I think I just said to you, like, just pay the 50 cents.
They're like, just keep it. It's
Just
10
keep
cents a day. Just keep it. But to me, I'm like, I felt so defiant. Like, I have a library book. I have every capability of returning it. And I'm choosing to keep it for 5 more days.
Like, I would reframe that.
That ate me alive every day.
I would reframe it and just be like, you're paying the library to keep the book a little
But you're
longer.
breaking a rule.
Yeah, but the library is getting revenue. You're paying them, you know.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, what if someone's waiting for the book and that's why?
Well,
But you know
we
what's
don't know
funny? So whatever. I end up keeping it for 5 more days. I finish it. It's a lovely book, had a lovely ending. And we did go to the library and we returned it. Do you know when I go back and I browse after because now I'm like, oh, I really like this author. I want to find like another book by her. So I go and I look for the book and they put the book back on the shelf. And I was like, I thought maybe someone had a hold on it and that's why I couldn't renew it. But they put it back on the shelf.
All that mental energy.
I don't know. All that mental energy. So all that to say, for days, I'm just thinking in the back of my mind, I have to return this book. We had other book for the girls. I had other books on hold for the girls, and they want you to pick those up within a certain amount of time. And because of the holidays, I was over that time. But I didn't know if they were going to let it slide because they were closed for a few days too. Anyway, all that to say, Friday morning, I woke up and I was like, I must go to the library today. And it sounds so inconsequential, but I knew if I did not go to the library on Friday, I would be thinking about it all weekend long. Like, I just had to do it. I had to go. So whatever. The book got returned. We swapped them out. I got a new one. I love it so far. And someone else might be like, really going to the library? Like, that's your top priority item today. But you don't know the mental space it's taking up for me. So yes, that is more important to me than anything else I could be doing right now. This is absolutely needs to happen.
Hey, listen, you got to know yourself, right?
Yes.
Like, everybody's different. So
Exactly.
that would take up zero mental space in my
Well,
head.
it was taking up zero mental space. And I'm like, oh, are you ready to return your book? You're like, no, I got a couple pages left. Just renew it. But you could renew yours, so you weren't breaking any rules.
Yeah. Well, listen, this kind of segues into like something that I'm pretty passionate about, which is just like kind of outsourcing and like creating time, leveraging time. And I think this is an underutilized tactic. And obviously, like, if you're able to, right?
Yeah.
But like in this scenario, right, you paid 50 cents to relieve yourself or buy yourself extra time.
Yes.
And get that off of your mind.
Yeah.
And
Although it did stay on my mind and eat me alive, but I understand the point you're making.
Okay.
Hypothetically, it should have.
Hypothetically, it should have. But
if I was normal, it would have.
I would say that's like anybody can afford that 50 cents generally, right? And like that was a good use of funds.
Also, most people just don't pay their fines at the library.
Most people don't pay them. We pay our fines over in this
I will
house.
pay my
In this house, fines get paid.
I won't give them my 50 cents.
If we call it like rent instead of a fine, I think it just like sounds a little bit better.
Just changing the verbiage. I understand what you're saying, though.
Yeah,
If you have the ability to outsource something, looking at, okay, if this financially makes sense for me, then why not? I think people hold on so tightly to like, I can never get a cleaner for my house, or I can never. I'm trying to think of something else that
Meal
people
prep,
do.
maybe. You
Right,
know, if that's
like
something that makes sense.
something that you feel like you just like cannot outsource. If you have the financial ability to, and your time is spent, people who have a 9 to 5 and like they're working full time and they have kids and they have pets and they have all these responsibilities. If you have the financial ability to outsource some of those tasks, it is probably worth it to do that.
Yeah, if you're spending 2 hours or maybe even half a day on a Saturday mowing your lawn when you work in the city or wherever, the full week, like if you just hire somebody to do that, you're buying 4 hours of time back, which is huge.
Yeah.
And you can actually put a monetary value on your time, right?
Yeah.
Based on how much you're paid. So,
Right.
If you look at outsourcing something that maybe someone else can do for $15 an hour, and you make, double that or triple that or whatever, that's a good deal. Right?
Yeah. And also, if you think about, okay, your Saturday morning, if you're only getting 2 days out of the weekend, what is the value on spending that time with your family or doing something that is very meaningful to you?
Right.
And, I think that reallocating where your money is going to, like maybe on a Saturday, you're spending your money going out to dinner or something. You're like, well, if I don't go out to dinner on Saturday nights. I can get someone to cut my lawn instead.
Yes.
And then I have more time with my family. I'll just stay in and cook.
Yeah.
And maybe that is more worth it for you.
What's that opportunity cost
Right.
of going out to dinner if you're eating out a lot, but that money can be filtered into cleaning the house, you know?
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Another time management strategy I love is time blocking. So that means taking specific blocks of time, so an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, depending on how much time you have and what you need to get done, and allocating it towards like a group of tasks. So, for example, kind of like what we do with the babysitter. So we will, we're kind of always on, we're kind of always working whenever, we need to be. But when there's specific tasks that take our mental energy, like specific administrative tasks or content creation, things like that, we will block time specifically for that. So we know, okay, Tuesday from 12 to 3, we are going to be doing content creation. And then from, 3 to 5, we are going to be answering emails and doing admin tasks and things like that. I think that it puts you in a very specific headspace. If we were kind of all over the place and, okay, we're going to make content for 20 minutes and then we're going to answer a couple emails, then we're going to go back to taking content, and then we're going to do an admin task, and then we're going to film a podcast. I think it'd be really hard to get into that mental space because I think that so many different tasks do require time before and after to like get into a certain headspace.
Right.
And blocking your time, you can kind of like focus your hours almost like they're appointments, but for really specific things. Yeah. And I think that could just be really helpful.
Yeah, time blocking. I think that's it's a great concept. I tried doing this, but way more like rigidly. I remember this was a thing that I was on for a little bit. I would like map out every second of my day, on a calendar. And personally, based on my personality, I found that a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
Just because I value a little bit more like flexibility.
Yep.
So I think, asterisks, allow for some movement, and just have a general blocks maybe for some people work better than,
Yep. Yeah, I think, with that type of personality thinking, instead of saying, okay, I am going to, I don't know, do content creation, and here are the exact 10 things that I'm going to do, and I have to get them done. And this one's at 12, and this one's at 12:05, and this one's at 12:10.
Right.
I think your personality works better with, I have these 3 hours and I am going to work on that general task. And then, because you're also a very creative person, I think that, not sound so cheesy, but like when creativity strikes, but like when you kind of get in the zone and you have ideas flowing and you have stuff going on, you need to be able to pivot. You're the type of person where when that happens, it's really valuable to lead into it and to do the things that are on your mind at that moment. And it might not be the things that you had originally planned out, but I think that you have to allow yourself time to kind of feed into that and to do what is important. And yeah, I think that having the general time of like, okay, I'm doing admin tasks, and if that takes me to a different place, that's okay, because I'm still within that allotted kind of group of things that I'm doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And kind of to piggyback off that, like another tactic that is important because I value that time is like scheduling in time to really think and recharge. And I think that goes kind of to the wayside for a lot of people. I mean, everybody's busy, but I think it's really important to just block out that time to do something for yourself, to give yourself time to think, space to think.
Yeah, 100%.
And a lot of productive things can come out of that.
Yeah, I think that is so important because it's so easy to overfill your calendar with all the stuff you have to do. And especially like we were saying, with making plans with other people and work and families, and just saying, okay, you know what? I'm going to take Saturday night and I'm going to do nothing because that's what I want to do. And because I want to take a bubble bath and I want to watch a movie, and put that on the calendar. So you don't have to like consciously think about it when someone says, hey, do you want to hang out on Saturday night? You're going to look at, oh, nope, I got plans.
Yep.
They're with myself, but I have plans.
You have to protect that. And those are plans.
Yes, they are
plans.
valid
plans. Doing nothing is a valid plan.
And I would say, even taking it a step further, scheduling time for each day that you're doing something for yourself. So I know for me, I have not always great with this. I'm trying to get back to being good with it, but I try to, at 9:00, I put my phone away. And that's it. I'm not looking at my phone anymore. I'm not doing anything work related. And that helps me just have that space to wind down before bed. And that to me is a way that I'm almost scheduling in relaxation time and time to disconnect. And it's such a short period of time, but there is this mental weight when I put my phone away that I'm like, no one can reach me. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I'm not the best emergency contact. There's been times that you're out and you're like,
you would not be a good emergency contact.
hello, what do you mean you don't have your phone on you? What if something happens? And I'm like, yeah, I should probably have it on me when you're not home.
I'm not calling you.
Yeah.
But you know, like I struggle with that, like trying to fill everything with something.
Yeah.
And you know, burnout is really can be really damaging in like all areas of your life.
Yeah.
Right? Can you think of a time when you were burnt out, like in the past 10 years?
I would say that, to be honest, I think burnout has hit me harder with being a new mom than any job I've ever had in my life.
Yeah,
I think that's just because that's like mentally the phase of life that I'm in right now. But
I don't know if there's a way to prevent burnout with parenting.
Yeah, I mean,
just have to work
scheduling
through
relaxation
it.
time, learning that it ends. I think that. Yeah, like I noticed the symptoms. I'm like, I'm overwhelmed. I'm exhausted. And that's when we have literally called your parents and been like, can you please just come help for a little bit? Like, maybe one of them, like I was saying, is going through like a regression or they're struggling with something. I'm like, can you just, for a couple hours, can you please help us? Or like do a sleepover. And then I noticed I am a lot more recharged after that.
Yeah.
I think because we don't have full-time help with the girls. And I think that has made a big difference. But yeah, I start to notice the symptoms and I'm like, something's got to give. Or I'll even just say to you, like, I need to get out of the house for a few minutes or like something like that.
Yeah, it bleeds into every area of your life. And, you can function, right? But you're not functioning well.
Not functioning well. Yeah.
You're not doing anything in excellence.
Or I think if I can't, obviously you can't always take a step back from parenting. I will take a little bit of a step back from work. I'll say, okay, I know that we had this thing scheduled for next week. If it's not super important, can we push it back another week? Because I'm just not in a space right now. And I need to wait to do that. So I've learned that there are certain work commitments that are just not going to work out super well when I'm experiencing that.
Yeah.
What about you? Or would you say parenting too?
Yeah, I mean, we're in the same boat, right? but yeah, I mean, there's been, even just going back a long time, working in a job that I didn't like, I served tables for a little bit and really just, was working a lot doing that. And I hated it, and that, just doing that over and over again and really working those long shifts and burning yourself out, it just, you can't focus when you're not doing things. Yeah. It just impacts every area of your life. So, making a change and being intentional and scheduling time, if you can't get out of what you're doing, I think can make a huge difference.
I do think there are certain phases of life where people expect you to work yourself into the ground, because you said that, and it kind of brings me back to when I was in grad school. I was in a full-time master's program. And I had a job. I was working 20 hours a week as a waitress, which is just physically and mentally exhausting. I was interning 20 hours a week. And on top of that, trying to, do your school load. And I was going in person to class. And I remember it being the busiest time of my life. It was crazy. I think I was clocking I don't know, maybe 60 hours of work a week if you added, commuting to school, doing the classes, doing the papers, doing the homework, working, doing my internship. And I'm like, this is just crazy. This is not normal. And I think for me, I knew it was only 2 years. It was a short period of life. But I don't even think there were people around me who were like, you're working too hard. You should slow down. Or what can we do to support you? I think that it was just so accepted as normal.
Yeah.
As soon as you say I'm in grad school, people are like, well, yeah, of course you're working 60-hour weeks. Duh.
I there is this culture that's kind of developing of almost too much self-care.
Yeah.
I think that's okay. It's okay to be busy. And if you have goals, it's okay to work really hard to get them.
Yeah. I think knowing they were short term really helped, though. I think that is not sustainable long term.
Yeah.
If you're doing that as a career,
right.
I don't think that's sustainable. I don't think it's healthy for you. But I think, knowing, okay, this is only 2 years, it's not going to be the rest of my life. Yeah. I think that really helped.
Yeah.
Another tactic, going back to some of the tactics, is doing an end of day review, either with yourself, with your spouse, with your family, where you just kind of say, how did the day go? Did I get done the things that I wanted to get done? Do I feel very drained emotionally, physically, mentally? And what do I think that I should do differently tomorrow? Because I think just having that intentionality behind really focusing on what worked and didn't work, you can reframe it for the next day. Because, we just gave out a couple different tools. Maybe one of them didn't work for you, and that's okay. Maybe you try another one. And I think going at the end of every day and really reflecting on that is helpful. And I think reflecting on it with your partner or your family is helpful too, because if you have a family, you're not doing it by yourself. Yeah. So I could have, certain tactics that work for me. If it doesn't work for our lifestyle, it's just not going to make sense.
Yeah. I mean, accountability is a big one there too, right? Like, tell your partner that you're trying to be more productive and you're trying to get these things done, and ask them to hold you accountable.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. So I think that, involving them and making it more of a family thing of like, okay, it will also help with communication too. I'm asking my teenager to do certain things and it's never getting done. Well, why don't we talk about it? Because maybe there is something else that we can do to support that getting done instead of me just repeating myself 10 times, and you might actually get a better outcome.
Yeah. I like the end of day review because it's a reminder that tomorrow's going to reset.
Yes.
And that's a fresh start.
You can even do it over dinner time.
Yeah.
Hey guys, like, what drained you today? What worked? What didn't work? That thing that I asked you to do, how did that go? I think it can go a long way.
Yeah. And, with that end of the day review, even kind of tacking on a prep for the next day could be a huge win, right?
Yeah.
Like just laying out your clothes the next morning, right? If you have something important going on that just you can get up, get started, if you have prepare that list, the top 3 lists, the night before for the next day.
Yeah.
And even on Sunday, maybe at the end of the night, like go in with a few goals for the week.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I think this has been really great. I hope it helps people with their time management, and just know that it's something that we all struggle with.
And you're just implementing 1 or 2 things, gets you started and can make a huge difference. So, great.